As you know, for some time, the rest of the country has been watching us for various reasons. And I think it'd be fair to say that the last year's been a test of our fortitude in many ways, especially given some of what we've experienced as folk talked about us around the country and the world. And it's been especially tough for some of the people who have been marginalized by Senate Bill 2. And, you know, it's painful when you are marginalized and you try in so many ways to get the attention of the people who are marginalizing you and try to make a difference. And it's our obligation, I think, at least part of my Christian obligation, to make sure that we reach out to everybody and ensure that they're included and that they're afforded all of the rights that this wonderful, marvelous country of ours has to offer. And all of the rights, privileges, and protections that our wonderful state that we all profess to love so well has to offer. Because at the end of the day, the people are the state. And it's about the people. That's why we're here, and that's why we represent all of the folk. And I know that for members of the LGBT community, that it's painful when you think that you're not included or you're not seen. And I will tell you, I was reminded of a sermon of the rich man and Lazarus, and whether or not people really see you and know who you are, they just keep passing you by because you're out at the gate asking for recognition. And I understand that. I feel it. I've spent the better part of 5 decades talking about it, being a part of it. But I think that what this bill does in repealing House Bill 2 resets the conversation, as the title suggests. The obligation to make sure that everybody in this state it can feel like they're part of who we are, what our aspirations are, is a statewide obligation. It doesn't just rest with local governments and municipalities. And we need to have that conversation on a statewide basis to make sure that everybody's dignity is respected, everybody's value is cherished. It's a conversation that I hope that we can engage in a very serious way following our experience with House Bill 2. But I tell you what this does as we can engage more deeply into that conversation. It brings to an end the economic threat that challenges our ability to do that in meaningful ways. That's why I'm supporting this bill, because not only is it the question of dignity that we have to debate and have to be concerned about, it's the question of what's good for 10.2 million North Carolinians in a broad sense. And the economic fallout from House Bill 2 is potentially one of the most damaging things to our economy in modern times if we don't address these issues. Now, I know that everybody does not agree with that, and I'm just telling you from my perspective, because I've seen it happen in so many different ways. And I know that an old lesson that a Methodist bishop taught me a long time ago still rings very true. He said, you know, emotion is a great, great thing. And if emotion puts something in rather than logic, do not always expect logic to be able to take it out. And I believe that, and I know what the force and power of emotion can do. But we have an obligation to all of the citizens of this state, and I commend those who've engaged in the negotiations, the discussion, the acknowledgement that there is a potential problem that we needed to address. I commend Senator Berger, I commend the governor, and Speaker Moore for acknowledging that this is a problem we need to get a fix to. But I tell you this, as leaders, we've all fallen somewhat short, I believe, in addressing one of the underlying and bigger issues that you'll hear talked about as a result of us passing this bill and putting a moratorium on what local governments can do. Because you know that in December we were against doing that. But I think that this issue is urgent enough that we need to take immediate action. From the economic standpoint, we need to also take action from the standpoint of basically being marginalized. And to ourselves, acknowledge it and deal with it, but bring the folk in who feel that way and who truly are to help us solve this problem of how we treat and we create opportunity for all North Carolinians. I hope the discussion of this bill has basically given us a perspective from which we can do that. I support the bill. And every bill you learn when you're up here, where there's a compromise on, has some features that you don't embrace, like your first date. But if we're going to move forward, it's about taking it a step at a time. We're part of a time that a lot of people believe in the helicopter generation. I believe in the elevator generation. Sometimes when you can't start at the top, you got to keep moving a step at a time. And I think that this has the potential to move us along that route, to address issues of who we are, how inclusive we are, and how everybody is valued for who God made them to be, regardless of what we might feel about them from an emotional standpoint. So I hope you'll vote for Senate to repeal House Bill 2, and I hope that you'll have a good feeling after you've done that, because I think that the overall feeling of the state will be a positive one, and all of us will move forward.